What up, world? My name is Timothy DeJesus.
Hi everyone, Aldric here.
Hello folks, it's Kwok here.
Hi, this is Jeremey Sea. I just wanted to say this about bottoms-up perspectives. It's about real lives, real journeys, and real perspectives.
The whole idea behind bottoms-up perspective was from the word kampai, or in Asian culture, oftentimes we drink until the bottom of our cup is empty and we turn it over. So it's very much like just cheers, right? And building relationship. And that's what we're all about, is building authentic, solid relationships on a global level and being able to see things from a global perspective.
And no, we're not Alcoholics Anonymous.
We are here to be the voice of everyone.
I love the idea that we're real people and we get to share our experiences with real people just like you.
So we look forward to having you join us. What's going on, everyone, on LinkedIn and YouTube? So I'm pretty excited to be live. So episode 19, right? So and we could talk a little about content. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let our guests introduce themselves. I have Rob here, and then I have Sergio. So whoever wants to go first.
Sergio, you go first, man. Go first.
All right, I appreciate that. Hey guys, my name is Sergio Flores-Garcia. I am 22 years old, postgraduate 2020 with a marketing degree. I'm a content creator here on LinkedIn, and I'm just positive, driven, and creative, and ready to get the show on the road.
That's awesome.
Sounds good. Yeah, hey guys. My name is Rob Balasabas. I'm a few years older than 22, but
just a few.
I'm just a few. Really excited. I'm the brand evangelist ambassador at TubeBuddy. We're a YouTube software partnered with YouTube. We've got over 3 million YouTube channels that use our tool, and so I get to hang out with different creators every single week. Have a live show on our channel as well. So aside from that, I've got my own YouTube channel that I handle and grow, and my own community. So super fun, super excited for this conversation. So thanks for having me.
That's awesome. So today we go talk about, I think it's a hot topic, right? So we're all on here creating content on a daily basis, and we all feel the challenge. And I thought, hey, I want different perspectives. And today we have a very diverse lineup. It's a very global perspective on producing content, because when it comes to producing copy and content, it's not just a US thing, but it's definitely a world thing. We're more connected than ever. So let's talk about a little of your content experience. Let's start with Sergio. I think you're probably the youngest here. So tell us a little about your content journey. Like, what got you into, hey, let's create content today?
Thank you. And, it's interesting being, 22 years old. I think going into the LinkedIn world, you get a strong sense of, a lot of professionals who have, multiple years of experience and, very experts in their fields. And coming into this, being a senior in college, studying marketing and branding, it was a scary sense of, what should I post? Should I even post? Will people even listen to my content? Will people even engage with it? Like, I'm really a nobody here. And so one of the people who inspired me is Gary Vee. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. His content creation strategy is just motivational. And when he made a video about, being 20, being 18, being 19, and just posting about your journey, it's just what pushed me into going on to LinkedIn. And I was already in the business mindset going, studying marketing. And so I started, going with posting every day, just posting content about what I know, which is mindset, marketing, putting my, you know, personal perspective and what I think about the business world. And so far it's been great. I've met some wonderful people. I've met some really meaningful connections. I mean, just right here, this experience is, you know, new, but it's really impactful. And I think I've learned so much so far in the last few 6 months that I've just been posting content on LinkedIn. That's just my experience so far.
That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's good. I would say for me, it's more of really necessity because so where I sit, I work for a software company. Before this, I was working for another software company called Thinkific. So it was an online course platform. So I was on the partnership team. And so my job was to connect with different influencers in the online marketing space, you know, the Grant Cardones of the world, Lewis Howes, those kind of people, and work with them to get in front of their audience and sort of promote us and do collaborations. And so videos was something that I recognized fairly early on, was that videos was sort of their playing field. That's how they interacted. That's how they collaborated. That's how they spoke to their audience and connected with their audience. And so as a brand that I was working for, we needed to get on videos. And so really had to kind of, you know, get my courage up and start creating videos, start doing live streams, interviews on live streams, and quickly realized that was a really good vehicle to get ROI, to open new doors, opportunities, like Sergio was saying, and also build your authority, you know, your expertise in that space. Again, going into opportunities, you know, invitations to summits and, you know, speaking at events and things like that quickly, you know, came about from those simple live stream videos.
Awesome. What about Jeremy Aldric?
Aldric,
Jeremy,
you
you
want
want
to
to
go
go
first?
first?
I'll do it. Don't worry. I think for me, kind of similar with Sergio's situation in the sense that I had a source of inspiration. So I used to have my boss's boss. He's quite an influential person in the retail space. You know, so this is really out of work, right? Necessity, like what Rob mentioned. But I saw how he was doing a full-time job, keeping it down, but at the same time, you know, being a real authority in the retail space internationally. I believe he's a top 100 influential people in the space of retail. So he was kind of my inspiration, and I thought that it was also a good time to get into digital marketing, to know what it is all about. Because from my previous experience, right? So I worked in China for about close to 10 years. When I came back to Singapore, was jobless, looking for jobs. But you know, in every job requirement for marketing, they actually either you need to be good at digital marketing or content marketing, right? So those are the big words, you know. They still are, even more so now, right? I guess with the pandemic situation. So I guess I connected the dots, and I thought, I think I need to do something. So I sort of wanted to position myself, you know, like Rob said, trying to be the authority in the retail space, but not so much globally. I think I want to find my own niche, so more of you know, in the APAC region. And interesting was that, you know, that was just a thinking, but when I put things into action, I realized that I learned a lot from just really being on LinkedIn, reading up, you know, learning from others. And it's probably about 2 years into my LinkedIn journey. It's been very interesting 2 years, and it's probably like only recently, you know, that I got invited to you know, global events, collaborations, going to other people's podcasts, you know, that kind of a thing, which even made me learn even more, right, from the real experts. And I guess for me, it's not just putting out content, reading content. It's also about learning and collaborating from other experts in the industry. So that's been what's been great for me so far in this entire content creation learning journey on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. About you, Aldric?
I think for me, it's about at where I am today. It is about opening doors and opportunities, because we're talking about a piece of content that could potentially reach millions of people at once. I think that's brilliant. The amount of power that's being built into our smartphones today versus the amount of leverage that we have in terms of the virtual marketplace is phenomenal. And that's where I see it. I see this as a way for small business owners and solopreneurs to actually get themselves out there. If we look at local markets, it's kind of small, depending on where we are. But if we look at the virtual marketplace, it's infinite. We are looking at a global marketplace that potentially, especially when we are in a service-based business, you can get a lot of traction. So that's how I see it from a business and a commercial standpoint for content. Personally, it's really about, I'm big in my own personal brand. I'm trying to get people to resonate Aldric with a little something that I believe in. I do that daily. So I think these days, having a viable content presence online, it's the way to go for business survival and for professional exposure. That's what I think.
That's good.
Yeah.
So my content journey started, I think, back in, early probably 2000 and around 2005 or 2004. Wow. So I had a restaurant and bar business, and just like any small business owner, I was looking for ways to build my bar business and without paying the high cost of advertising. And I discovered MySpace is great for college kids to get into my bar. So I started really honing in. So my background is software engineering. So I'm always looking for technology to do things. So it was when MySpace was kind of hot. So I started looking at, hey, how can I run ads and promotions on MySpace? And I built this huge bar business from just MySpace marketing. So, started building content, talked about the food, talked about the nightlife at my bar. And that's how it all got started. And then when MySpace died down, it shifted. I went onto Facebook. My career changed as well. In 2008, we got hit just like we're getting hit right now with the economy. Lost my restaurant bar. Just try to rebuild my career. Play around on LinkedIn a lot, but I wouldn't say I was a content creator. I was just job hunting on the platform. And then slowly one thing turned to another. Had my share of doing marketing for logistics company on a global level. And that's when I really started diving into creating LinkedIn content, but more from a company perspective versus personal branding. And then I would say about 2 years ago, I'm an agency owner now for the last 6 years, but 2 years ago, we really shifted into focusing on, building a personal brand. And that's when I started creating content on LinkedIn. And, there's always something to learn. And I think I love it because I can connect with everyone, across the globe and make friends, and it costs nothing, So it's a great platform. I think too many people focus on numbers versus relationships. But if you build relationships, and we said it in previous shows, you can take it anywhere. And I'm sure all of you can attest to that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I want to add too that even if you're working for a company, I think if you're on LinkedIn, don't be afraid. I mean, of course, you want to make sure you get the blessing of your boss, but of your company. But I think it's important to it's very advantageous for you to build your personal brand, whether you're a developer or you're working for a company. That you're an expert in your particular space, right? If you're a marketer but you're in-house, talk about marketing, talk about the strategies. Obviously, don't share your company's playbook, but I think, I think building your own personal brand that gets you into different doors and opportunities to speak at different things, to be a thought leader in your space, you're still going to carry, the company that you work for with you, right? So if you get invited to speak at a conference, they're going to introduce you as, hey, Rob Balasabas with TubeBuddy, right? And so, if you're a developer, you get invited to, some developer conference, they're going to introduce you with your company name. And so it's very advantageous, for you to do that. And again, you build those relationships, build those opportunities. And so, yeah, I mean, if I was, speaking of Sergio, young guy, Sergio, 22, if I was able to go back and be in university again, I think what I would do is start building content, start building content on LinkedIn, maybe even start a podcast where you talk to different founders. If you want to get into the startup world, interview different founders. They'll give you time if you're going to be interviewing them for a show, versus if you just requested like a phone call one-on-one, like, hey, can I interview you for my podcast? And then you get to talk to them, you get to connect with them. And then during that process, they get to know you as well. And so you're building your network, right? And so, yeah, I mean, do that, do videos, do live videos. If you're in university, like if you learn something, this semester about marketing, apply it, apply it to a company that you see out there and sort of do a dissection of, a company, and how they're doing their marketing. Tag them in that video, and you never know where those things can take you, right? Whether that company sees you or another company that may be looking for somebody that knows marketing, they get to see that your stuff, and so they may be able to they're like, hey, that guy is going some places. Let me get him now while he's still just about to leave university, and kind of bring him into under our wings. So yeah, if you're in university sitting there, or you're newly graduates, start thinking about building content. Don't wait until you are hired and you have your business set up and all that stuff. Start building content now and start laying the foundation of those content that will stay out there for a while.
Yeah.
And that's so true, because that
definitely
really sets you apart, from the rest of, the people that are out there. So, yeah.
So Rob, I just wanted to pick up from where you said, I think what you said resonated a lot with me. And, really, Sergio has the time advantage here, right? Ahead of all of us, right? 22 years old, and he's looking at creating content. Man, I wish I was doing that. I was just in this for 2 years. If I was at 22, I probably would have started, and it will take me way further than where I am now. But the point I wanted to make also on Rob, what you commented about getting blessings from your company. You know what? I never did. I never sought permission. I guess I was just gonna go ahead and do it, and until somebody tells me that no, stop doing that. I'm not gonna stop, because there's another way of looking at it. I kind of try to separate myself from the company in a way, and try to build a different identity, because my company is in the retail space. So I just wanted to be looking at that area, because that is the segment that I'm familiar with, right? So that was kind of my position, and sometimes it may not be advantageous to put a company name behind, because people might think you're trying to sell something. Hence, I created sort of this persona, right? Alter ego, new retail guy, so that I can really speak about industry without having that, however you want to see it, baggage, or having to need to represent the company. So I guess that's another way of doing it. That's just me throwing in my perspective of, there could be another way to do it. And unless the company tells me that, stop, I'm not going to. Because once you are trying to speak on behalf of the company, there will be issues like, legal, especially a big company, right? Legal, what you have to say, what you cannot say. So I guess, having my own identity liberates me from that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, just to add on to that, Jeremy. So there's a lot of places I think where you can, in my experience, I can kind of get really deep into a community or an opportunity because I am Rob from TubeBuddy. But then there's also different communities where they would rather be like, hey, Rob, just Rob, without the company, without the company association, initially, right? Because I think sometimes, when you show up and you're like, hey, it's Jeremy from this company, people are like, the walls are up. They're like, oh, are you going to promote something? Are you going to talk about your company? Or like, also the opposite, people look at you and you're like, oh, okay, maybe you can sponsor this event, or you can sponsor this conference, and then there's dollar signs, money signs. So now you're at a disadvantage. Right. You're disadvantaged either way. But if you show up as just Jeremy, your own brand, then sometimes that's received with a warmer reception.
Yeah, you just need to pick which identity to switch around to open more doors.
That's right. Exactly.
And actually, I think just to add on to the points that's being brought forth by Rob and Jeremy, if we are employed into any form of marketing departments because of our digital marketing prowess or because of our contents, it's going to be a little challenging now that you are with a corporate entity, because then what you used to do so well for yourself, someone might have a say or control over what you're doing now. And it's going to be like a conflict of interest every day, because you know what works for you. So probably you know what's going to work for the corporate entity as well. But the corporate entity now has a say in terms of what they want you to do. So I think that's kind of challenging. We are talking about marketers, ourselves as marketers, versus people that's in the marketing department. Sometimes that line of differentiation is a huge one. And when there is a corporate playbook to adhere to, I think it can be a little challenging. But that's just me. That's what I think. Being through that.
No, that's true.
So probably have.
Well, I think a lot of our audience want to hear. So we all produce content here on a, I think, daily basis. So I want to hear, just for the audience, how do you decide what to post? So each and every day when you guys wake up, what's your process? I want to hear from you guys. So we can go with, we'll go this way first and we can go around. So we'll start with you, Rob.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, there's a lot of content that I can share. So it's a mixture of my own content. So I'll create YouTube videos. There's also content from TubeBuddy. Again, we're speaking about my personal, like Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. So really just kind of going through. So I kind of prioritize it. So for me, I create YouTube. YouTube is my main platform. So Mondays and Wednesdays is when I upload new videos. And then Fridays, I do a live stream with subscribers and just answer questions, just Q&A, community building. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are usually that's usually what's on my feed. On the days in between, it's usually TubeBuddy content or content that I'm sharing, like perhaps an event or a virtual summit that I'm speaking at, interviews like this one, I will promote those because that's important for me, because again, where I sit sort of in the partnership team, I want to make sure that when we are invited to, an event, that we are sharing that event, as a common courtesy for the organizer. So that's usually what takes up. On the weekends, I guess, weekends are different. So for me, work-life balance, weekends, I try not to work, especially Saturdays. I have there's no work that day. And so usually my feed will have some type of family content, so we're just going out or something fun. But that's usually how I, kind of look at my day. And the one tool that I use probably for this is Trello. So there's lots of different, project management tools. There's Asana, Monday, all that stuff. But I have a Trello board and I just have all the different content that I can share. And I just kind of pick so that there's less decisions to make every morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's good. That's very organized. I'm next, right? On your
next,
sequence. So I'm like the corporate guy still working, MNC and all, but I don't really have a process. I guess I don't post every day for one. It's really quite hard, and I tend to overthink things. So I take a long while before I decide what to post. So there are usually a few things, right, to look at to post. So since I'm in the retail business, it's kind of quite specific in terms of the area I wish to talk about or content I wish to post. So usually I start with reading. If I get time, just now that we do less of commuting, if I do commute or I have some quiet moments to myself in the morning, look through what's new in the world in terms of retail trends, and see what pops out. And if there's something that I strongly have opinion on, I will try and post something and give my angle or my take on it. Usually it's supporting it or against it. So I guess it pays to have an opinion and be opinionated on social media. So I'll start with that. If I can't find anything interesting, within the company we have this LinkedIn Elevate platform. So it's kind of like a curation tool of information. So I'll go in there and pick and look and choose if there's something that resonates, because that will be very specific, retail based. But most of the time, I prefer to look out for what you call that content that is more retail and Asia Pacific specific, because I think that's an area which I'm in, and I would rather share things that are different here for the rest of the audience globally. So that's what I try to look out for. I have not done videos in a while, but if possible, I like to visit stores and shoot some videos on how stores are doing, or rather different concepts on retail. And with the pandemic, it's really hard. I used to be able to squeeze 1 or 2 videos during business trips, take a look at some of the interesting storefronts and store technologies in other countries, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm still thinking of how to innovate and do different angles on content from there. And as I mentioned earlier, of late, it's been a blast joining different collaborations on different platforms like virtual conferences, and sharing that kind of content based on what I shared during those conferences is also something new that I'm trying to get into, and those are really good. And I guess with the pandemic, I can't visit many stores, and if there are opportunities to be on virtual conferences and share those content, I think those are great as well. So that's kind of like the 3 or 4 type of contents that I look forward to. Weekends I'm probably not take a break. so that's kind of how I roll.
About you, Aldric?
Go ahead, Sergio.
I think it's out. Is it me? I'll just go. I'll go. Thank you. I think I started very much like Jeremy. I first, didn't have a strategy. Like I said, going back to, what can I post as, someone that's in college. When I first started posting, I was still in my spring semester of my senior year. So, I was still doing classes, trying to balance all that stuff out. But one thing that I did know was having a strong mindset. I knew that was important, and that's something that I've just have developed throughout my experiences. So what I think for a lot of young professionals who are trying to, create content on LinkedIn, I think back to your personal experiences going through school. What have you learned? What has been meaningful to you? And then connect that with what could be valuable for the people on this platform. LinkedIn is a very professional platform with, professionals and people trying to find jobs, connecting with Fortune 500 employees. How can you connect that and bring value to that conversation? And so what I have, outlined has been, marketing, branding, fitness, because I think that, for fitness, it's part of being a professional, part of that mental balance between your physical and your mental health, trying to go out, with whatever you're working, whatever your job you have. And then also, having that side of marketing and branding, not just being like, hey, you should do this, because I have no real experience like handling a marketing budget. So I have to recognize that I can't tell people what they should do, but I'm gonna tell people, here's my perspective, here's how I see it, this is maybe valuable to you, and if this helps you out some way, then that's wonderful. And so far it's been working. A lot of people have told me, this stuff is inspiring. As a young professional, starting out young, like you guys mentioned, I have the time to do this. And it's funny that you guys mentioned that, I'm young and that you wish that you started earlier, because I look at it the same way. I wish that I could have started out when I first got to college, started posting, but it's part of that learning experience. And I think that everybody handles it a certain way, especially like me. For me, I post 1 to 3 times a day. I've been posting daily ever since January. It's kind of hard for other people to do that, and I recognize that, but I look at it from, if it brings value to the person, then I'll post it, and if it doesn't, then I won't post it. But I'm a lot of into experimenting, so I don't fear away from posting just because it won't perform. I leave that to my audience. Like, if they enjoy it and it does well, then it does well, and if it doesn't, then I won't post it again. So that's kind of like my strategy that I'm going towards it. And I follow the same strategy that Rob does now. Like, I'll set aside a day in the weekend to think of ideas and create them on Canva. And Canva is a wonderful tool if you're just starting out. It's really simple to design, and then I just write the copy for it and post it throughout the week. And so far it's been, a lot more easier because it saves a lot of time during the week. But that's just my strategy right there. Yeah.
You, Aldric?
I don't overthink it. I post things that are relevant to me today, and that is current. And why do I do that? Because I recognize that when it comes to content, it's like the question that Mavis has here. A content block is like a writer's block. So typically that happens when we are too deliberate in the message that we want to deliver. And therefore it's like, okay, I want to talk about this today, but how am I going to talk about it? Then how am I going to get people to relate to it? So when we get a little too deliberate, it becomes like we are creating our own obstacles to the post button or the publish button. So I think the way to do it, which is relevant to being a digital native, is to be real and to be able to hijack our thought processes in a way that if you're thinking about something and you realize that, hey, that's interesting, then at that point in time, you can do a post already. I think that works because the way we think is unique. We are going to have a lot of marketers. We're going to have a lot of digital marketers. We're going to have a lot of people that's trained in finance, in engineering of sorts. But the way we think is accumulation of our life experiences, and therefore it's going to be different from a profile to a profile. I think that is the thing that really adds value in terms of the content. That's the daily content. I don't really see that as an issue, whether it's weekday or weekend. I think the ability to be current is important for content. I think when it comes to long form articles, like if we can think of articles on LinkedIn or Medium per se, we have to have a little bit of relevance to what we are doing, and at the same time, it's about putting value up front to the readers. So topics like that, if we can go a little evergreen, like teaching people how to, start your own gig for the first time because you've done it before, you're sharing your experience, that can be done pretty easily too because it's historical. You're just extracting out from your mental repertoire. So that's what I think. There are some contents that are actually easy to create. I'm very active on Quora. So when I'm there, I basically just answer questions. 60% of the heavy lifting is already done. People are asking the questions. I just answer. So that in itself is a piece of content. Then we talk about the realities that we are being dealt with. If really over the course of 24 hours, we can't create a piece of content, we can always comment. I think comment doesn't take long at all. And if we are committed to our digital presence, we will find something to do. I think that matters. we probably overthink a lot of things, like the strategy, and then how many times do I want to post a day, what are topics that I want to talk about. But how do you get there? That's my question. You want to get there. You want to be strategic. You want people to know you for something. You want to have a frequency. You want to have a schedule. But hey, you got to start somewhere. So start. That's all I'm concerned about. For everyone that's speaking to me over DMs, over Zoom, and now I'm making it formal on air. I think don't overthink it, especially when you're not in a corporate setting. You don't always have to think about the big word called strategy. You can think about another big word which is called execution, and execution puts the power into your hands. That is the best strategy you can get day to day. That's what I think.
That's good. So with me, when it comes to content, so I'm an agency owner. So I have people on my team that work on stuff. But with regards to my personal brand, I really just play on LinkedIn right now because that's my kind of my baby, where I actually do the content myself, and build relationships on there. And I'm a lot like Rob. I use Trello. I use Asana. I pretty much break out even into calendars because it helps my brain work. So example, I will create categories, right? So if Monday I understand, hey, people are back at work, then I share maybe motivation. But I make it really high level. And then Tuesday, maybe it's about digital marketing. And for the month of, let's say, July, I try to build on topics within digital marketing because I'm a digital marketer, right? And then Wednesday, a lot of times, because I do have a lot of video assets from my previous channels and different stuff, so I recreate content, right? I recreate, videos are great, right? Once you shoot it, it's evergreen. You can chop it up into little pieces, and then you can reutilize it. It's like new content every day. So one of the biggest things for me is to ensure there's variety. I'm not a big person on, because LinkedIn right now does better on long form text. So I'm just going to focus on long form text. I feel you have to look at these like TV channels, and you got to keep it entertaining and engaging. And everyone digests content different. Not everyone's going to digest by just reading. Some people like to hear, some people like to watch. So one of the key things I try to do is to ensure there's variations in my content. And then on the weekends, I like to take off and I reflect on my week, or I talk about my family life because I'm a dad, and those are things that are important to me. And I feel in regards to a personal brand, I want people to know me before they actually hop on a live show or a Zoom call. I want them to know who Kevin Kwok is prior to ever meeting me, right? So I give people a glimpse of my life, who I am and what I'm about. And I think that's so important. And I think when it comes to like a writer's block, right? Sometimes if you don't have anything to say, a motivational quote, or just share your experience. I think our journey, our stories work in every social media channel, and those are unique to just you. So I think that's important. And I agree with every single one of you, and even Sergio. If you're not an expert at something, you can share your journey, document your journey, what you're doing, hey, how hard it is to go on LinkedIn and try to, get people to engage. You can talk about that. There's so many ways to create content, and I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. But I think we would all agree there's a level of transparency and authenticity that I think everyone is hungry for. And that's why we connect with TV shows and movies. That's authentic. And that's why we like reality shows, right? Even though sometimes it's not authentic.
It's not real.
But we can relate and connect, right?
Yeah.
And it's about relationships. And to me, when you're building content, think about how you would have a conversation with someone you meet new, and that's pretty much in regards to my personal brand, right? it's a little different when you're doing it for a business or an organization. You got to be a little more careful with how content you can share. But for my personal brand, I keep it very authentic. So, yeah.
And just sorry about that.
Go ahead.
And just to add to your point on when you said that everybody has a different way of, consuming content, whether it's video, audio, written form, it goes the same way on the other end when you're posting content. Maybe you're a lot stronger writing, maybe you're a lot stronger on camera, maybe you're a lot stronger with podcast voice, maybe you're a lot stronger with designing pictures. There's a way to post content, for everyone, and you don't have to stick to a certain way if you don't feel comfortable yet. Try it out, or whatever way is easiest for you, go for that way, and just really double down on that, and explore whatever way you're most comfortable creating content. And just to add to that point, because I think it's important, I know a lot of people a lot of times struggle with being on camera, and so don't go to camera. Maybe you just write a couple posts in the beginning, and then you can translate to camera and other avenues.
And that's so true. I think, you got to know yourself better than anyone else, what you're comfortable with. But like Aldric said, the worst thing you can do is not to start, and do nothing, just start by posting, even if it's, 2 times, a week, and start that momentum, do something, right? So it leads to my second question. Okay. So what helps you guys with consistency when it comes to creating content? Because Aldric shared the importance of being consistent, right? So what has helped you guys? We all also have businesses. We have a corporate life. We have work. Creating content don't necessarily make you money, okay? It doesn't always pay the bills. There's other things too. It can, but what helps you be consistent? What are some tools? What's your secret sauce?
Wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
I think I can go first. Yeah. I think what has helped me anchor my post content and my thrill of thoughts really is hashtags. Interestingly, because my hashtag, right, new retail guy says a lot, but I try to align myself to a certain cause or purpose, hence the hashtag. For example, I go with the hashtag physical retail is not dead, because prior to the pandemic, everyone was saying that shopping malls are dead, shops are dead, everyone's going online, e-commerce is taking over. I need to align myself against that. That's where I take my stand. That's where I think I find my value and purpose in the content I post. So that gives me that consistency, because everyone else thinks that physical stores are dead, but I strongly believe it will not go away, right? And I've said this before, if the lockdowns has taught anyone anything, is that we crave the physical store experience. We crave going to the restaurants. We crave walking down the stores and just do window shopping, although you shouldn't really do that more now because of the pandemic. So that's how I sort of, anchor myself down and really talk about retail, brick and mortar stores, some of the hashtags that I use, right? Physical retail is not dead. Earlier, I used more like a boring retail is dead. All these shops are closing because they don't offer anything compelling in terms of the customer experience. That's what anchors me. That's what gives me consistency. And it's interesting because I find that with my interactions more now with other retail experts, there are a lot of people who feel this way too in the retail space. So, I guess I was lucky I picked the right course. So that's what has been allowing me to be consistent on what I look out for, what I create, what content I want to post, be it video, text, or just writing about things. So that's what works for me.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, to add on to that, that's awesome, Jeremy. For me, having it on the calendar, the way that I function, just my Monday to Friday, it has to be on the calendar. Like even when Kevin reached out, I was like, hey, you want to join me on this live stream? I'm like, hey, cool. Can you just send me a calendar invite? It's not on my calendar. I have a bad memory, so it's not on the calendar. It usually doesn't happen. So having it on my calendar, whether it's posting something, especially for YouTube, to film something. So I block it off every Monday, film, Tuesday, edit, and then I have that, just a recurring. So having that in the calendar, having some type of project management thing. Again, I mentioned Trello. Kevin used Trello as well. Having something, Notion, some type of tool to, have a place to dump your ideas, because you can kind of peruse through social and you're like, oh, that's a good post. Like, that's a good topic to talk about, or that's a good thing to talk about in a video or in a blog. If you don't put it somewhere, then usually you forget. By the time you get to the office or by the time you get down to you have a break in your day, you forget. So having a place to dump your ideas and then categorize it and kind of schedule it into your day. With social media content, if you guys are watching and you're not using some type of scheduling tool, I would urge you to do that, because sometimes you want to be consistent, but you can't be consistent in actual real time to every Wednesday, I need to post something. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so if you just can block the time to actually schedule the post, then at least that part is done. Then when it posts on that day, then all you need to do is do the engagement with the comments. So that just helps you so that you are not having to, you're like, oh, I missed the posting today because I had a bunch of meetings. Well, if you scheduled it ahead of time, then you wouldn't miss posting. You'd be consistent. And then for me, there's also, if anyone's doing any live streaming, scheduling it out, just like Kevin did today. He scheduled it out. And so I know that it's there. I need to show up to that scheduled live stream because the guest is going to show up. So if that's the type of content you're creating, try to schedule it out. Don't just do like a pop-up live stream. Schedule it out a few days ahead so that you can promote it. And also you're accountable to that. In the early days when I started my YouTube channel, I did actually have an accountability friend who was also starting his channel. And so we were like, hey, checking in, like, hey man, did you do your video this week? Cool, awesome. Did you do, so having someone to, kind of like a workout or, a gym partner or something, that really helps as well.
And I want to just hop in. So, hey, and if you don't have anyone to hold you accountable, that's where we have our bottoms up, community, and we hold each other accountable. The people that are on this show, all of us are in this private group, and we share strategies and ways to build our personal brand. And it's all free. It doesn't cost you a dime. We're just here to, create a better community on LinkedIn, and we're about, I think, 37, 38 strong. And it's funny because I'll see, hey, today I missed posting, and I see Aldric's post, and I'm like, dude, all right, I can't be lazy, So it's kind of like, think of it as almost like a team, right? And I love that accountability aspect because why does CrossFit work, right? Sergio, you're in the fitness thing. It's because of the community aspect, right? There's people cheering you on. You're not alone, and we need that in social media world. Is that I'm part of the reason I connected with Rob is I was part of his community on Facebook through other content creators who invited me, and we know some of the same people. And they always share tips, and I learn from it. And it's good to see new tricks and different ways to do things, right? And while I'm talking, I guess I'll share kind of my way to stay consistent. I utilize the scheduling tool as well. And there's times, I personally use Agora Pulse, and I love it. I schedule out my content and my posts on LinkedIn. I kind of like to do it natively because, it's more my personal brand and I can do it on the fly. But a lot of stuff on the weekends, I have it scheduled out because I want to spend time 100% with my family. The last thing I want to do is worry about, I'm going to post, right? But that's my own preference. And same thing, regards to helping me stay consistent. I think the biggest thing is if it's not on my calendar as well, I don't do it. So what I do is I set time that's dedicated even to engaging, right? because I have other things to do at work. So I make sure like, hey, if Monday it's going to be, hey, 5 p.m. before I get off work, I want to engage with everyone that's on my social media profiles. So I take that time to check my inbox. I allocate like an hour and I just make it a part of my day. So it's part of my job. So it's a task. So first is social media is just there. I utilize my cell phone a lot too. When it comes to content, it's like, it's easy to get inspired when you're out and about. And sometimes friends are wondering, what are you doing, Kevin? I'll be in the middle of something and I would be like recording them, or I would take a picture or write something, because then I would put it back in my Trello later and go, hey, this is a great point here. And I would reuse it. And look at here. Tim dropped in.
What up, y'all?
All right.
Yeah. So Tim is always part of our show, but today he had a dinner with some of his friends, and we knew he might come in a little late, but hey, good to see you, Tim. So we're just talking about how we keep consistency within our content. So yeah. So that's how I do it. I try to schedule it in and make sure I do it. So what about you, Aldric?
I think for me, consistency doesn't really bother me that much, because when I think about content as something that leads to a potential transaction or deal, then it doesn't affect me that much as part of discipline, because I know if I don't do it, there's no chance in which I can get into a door or open a window. So in that sense, I think it's built in. I don't have an accountability issue as well. I think for a vast majority of the people, where when they speak to me, it's more of, are you posting a little too much in a day? Like you do twice a day or something? And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because if it's out for personal vanity, I probably have too much time on my hands. But if it's something that leads to what I'm doing, in terms of my work or my projects or my businesses, it's the right thing to do. And I would want to get as much attention from as many people as possible. That's how I think about it. Partly because I was involved in the different stages of marketing when I first started out. I think I mentioned this story many times in the live stream, that when I was in university, I was with marketing research agencies. I did physical copywritings on brochures, on flyers. I understand what it means if your brochure gets to the receptionist, and then there's the A/B pile, and if I don't make it to the A pile, it goes straight to the trash. I understand out-of-door media, and today we have the smartphones, right, that everyone carries. So the evolution of the industry that I have been in, I understand that where we are today in the golden age of social media, attention is the currency. I truly believe so. And I think that works. So while there's many people saying that you should not create content fatigue or overexposure, I would just look at the kind of results that I've been getting, the subsequent lead conversions. At the same time, if I'm actually tired from doing this, but I'm not. So I would just declare that I'm very manual in that sense. I just use my phone. Whenever I think about something, I'll just create the content and I'll just post. So I don't hijack any specific time slot that is where the highest traffic is, or like I deliberately targeted to be in the SGT morning because that's where the bulk of the Americans are home in the evening. I don't do such things because it's 24/7 now. So long as the content is good enough and there's engagement on the content stays alive. for the entire day. So I don't see the point. I hold myself accountable in that way. I understand that if I don't put up the work up front, there's no chance for the business or the projects or the things that I do. So if it's really a lifeline, then I don't have any excuses for that. That's how I think about it.
Cool.
Yeah, I really agree with Aldric in that point, and I look at it a similar way. I mean, if you look at all the social media platforms across the board, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the most, influential like people on there are posting content regularly and consistently. If you look at founder and their Instagram page and how they went from 0 to 2 million followers, one of the things that they talk about is posting on Instagram 6 times a day. Like to other people, like that's crazy. It's like not possible, but it makes sense because when you look at the algorithm, what's the point of social media and these networks is to get people on the platform and to have them stay on the platform for as long as they can. And so different social media platforms favor people who post consistently and just often, because they're doing what the goal of social media is about: getting people to interact, getting people to engage. And so I see it as, if you provide value and you think that your post is somewhat valuable, then post it. Then you can see whether it was engageful and actually valuable. And if it wasn't, then okay, don't post that again, but keep posting, keep experimenting. And I think from my strategy standpoint, what makes it easy to be consistent is having that mindset of, I'm just going to experiment and see if this provides value. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. I'm going to keep going. And also having kind of like little mini series in your content. So in the morning, I always post a motivational quote, because I think that, a lot of people like to start off with something motivational in the morning, going off to work, going off to school with whatever they're doing. And then I segment to marketing and branding and other business related topics during the afternoon, when people are out during lunch trying to get a quick, interaction on LinkedIn or Instagram. So I think in the way of be experimental and also focus on the process later on, from a young professional standpoint, or someone who's just starting out and doesn't have that knowledge of there's scheduling apps out there that you could use, or there's all these tools that you could use. You can find those tools later, but I think a lot of it in the beginning is learning and just posting content and experiencing everything and getting familiar with the platform.
That's great.
Timothy, before you comment, I just want to comment a bit on what Sergio just said, because I found it pretty interesting. You mentioned that the algorithm of of social media platform is to keep you engaged for as long as possible, right? So that's sort of it might be a bad analogy, but that sort of made me thinking about casinos. They wanted you to keep you in the casinos, to keep betting money, and I don't know, it just suddenly popped in my head. I thought it could work, because it's just like in casinos, you always put the bets. You never know when you're going to hit it big. You never know when you're going to win. Not that I'm encouraging gambling, right? But if you link that if you link that to social media, putting up your content is like putting a bet out there, right? And you don't know who is going to see it. And maybe, bam, you might just hit the jackpot. Like for your case, if you're looking for a job, some CEO might see what you just put, and you hit the jackpot, you're gonna get a job, right? So just to echo back on what Aldric said, right? It's really action. Keep on doing it. Keep placing your bets.
That's great analogy. I like that. The social media is like casino.
About Jeremy, just one thing. I think content producers and content consumers. The content producers are those that put up a lot of action every day, right? We are posting, and then once we do that, we can see our engagement metrics, we can improve on that. So every subsequent post is actually a small unit of improvement that we can see. But if you are a content consumer 100% of the time, you're not going to get it. You're just consuming. If you run a casino business, it's very different from the people who's going there to make the bet. Because if you are running the casino business just like a content producer, you win every day. you win. Whether your customers, the people betting, are they winning the table or not, or this table or not, you know that at the end of the day, the odds are with you.
That's
so
good.
as content producers, I think that the odds are with us. It's with us because it is our improvement that matters. Ours. If you're out there to produce because you to entertain others, or because other people like to read this genre and things like that, we are just lost in the sea of contents. We're just lost. I don't see that point. That's just my add-on. I think as content producers, we learn a lot about ourselves. We learn a lot about the virtual marketplace. It's just like the people that's owning the casino business. They understand the business. The odds are with them. So it's like us. The odds are with us. That's what I think.
That's
Go
good.
on, Kevin.
What about you, Timothy? What helps you stay consistent when it comes to content creation?
Well, I mean, if you ever follow my content, there's nothing consistent about it. I mean, right. But
that's true.
But the reality is, the only thing that keeps me consistent is I know I got to post every day. That's the main focus. I'm like, you know what? I got to put at least one out there every day. And the thing I'll tell you, there's going to be two things I'm going to say about content creation that revolve around like what everybody's talked about. One thing is you got to know the algo of the platform a little bit. Like Aldric, I don't pay attention to timing because I have kind of a global following. So I'll drop a post at 2 a.m. American time, but somebody's awake in India and somebody's awake in Singapore. So it doesn't really matter, right? But at the same time, that being said, on LinkedIn, they don't like you spamming the algo. Like you'll notice your views will go down and down and down and down if you post 5-6 times a day, right? Now on TikTok and on Instagram, yeah, spam the algo all you want. It's just like Sergio said, they don't care, right? They want to just keep you on the hamster wheel. So you kind of have to know the algo of the platform a little bit. Because if you're posting 6-7 times on LinkedIn, you're going to cannibalize yourself. Each of your posts is going to eat at each other. So you gotta know that going in. And as far as like I said, consistency, I mean, I just make sure I post every day at some point on LinkedIn. I'm still learning the other platforms, but at the end of the day, on LinkedIn, I try to get at least one out there. I agree with what everybody was saying is that, as a content creator, we kind of win just because, people are paying attention. And there's a greater purpose to what I do. I think there's a greater purpose to what we all do as content creators. But one thing I will tell about anybody who is looking to create content, if you're trying to sell something, that can't be your only focus because people are going to tune you out. Straight up. Like if I have a business and all I do is talk about my business every day, people are going to be like, oh, this guy's boring. And they're going to move on. So it's true. I mean, nobody wants to hear about car dealers every day.
Yep.
I wouldn't. But like I said, I mean, you got to mix it up a little bit. You have to you have to do things that keep people engaged. And then, it'll pay off. You'll get followers, you'll get attention. And then ultimately you'll get somebody, when you do mention your business, might be like, oh, I like this person. He might be able to help me out with something. So that's my 2 cents on the content creation.
And I think it's important to understand too, we've been talking a lot about content creation and putting content out there. But remember, it's just as important to nurture those comments and relationships. I think the biggest mistake people do is you're a real person. So when you put out your content, you have to respond back. Stop doing, just invest some time into it. Think out and answer to your community and reply. Don't just give them a thumbs up. Invest. What you invest into your relationships is what you'll get back. And I think there's a lot of content creators out there, and they focus on these big numbers, and they get so big where they can't even nurture their community. So I think there's a balance in producing content, and then also curating relationships, and nurturing your community. So if you don't have time to respond to your comments, then maybe it's good to maybe post a little less, and, I always say I much rather have 300 valuable followers that will take their shirt off their back for me than 30,000 people that are just, acquaintances that who really can care less. They might give me a couple thumbs up, but it doesn't really, there's no return on my investment. So I think there's a balance of realizing what's your objective to be on these social media platforms and what really matters. And it leads to my third question, and it's going to be the last one for the night, is in this sea of content creation, there's so much people doing it now. How do you stand out? Like, what are some tips for the people that are on here? Like, how do you get people's eyes on your content? What have you seen in your content journey to help you stand out?
Yeah, I think there's a question. There's a question in the comment in the chat here. I lost it here. Somebody was asking, how do you define value? Kenneth Chen. Kenneth Chen. Yeah. So I think that's. I mean, to answer that, I think just trying to provide value as much as you can in every piece of content. I think to answer that question from Kenneth, I think that the way that I define value is either there's three types of value that I find with people on social media that's consuming content. Either you're entertaining, right? So there's a lot of entertaining kind of content. If you go to YouTube, there's lots of entertainment kind of channels. Joe Rogan is entertainment, although it's also informational. There's also like inspirational, right? Motivational type content. The Gary V type of content, very inspirational. And then the third, which is kind of the one that I lean on, because I'm not an entertainer, I'm not the inspiration, motivation guy, is educational. So if you're teaching somebody something, you're going to give them value that makes their life easier, to do a complicated process in a simple way, and you can explain that. So I think those three. So if you can give value in every piece of content that you're sharing, I think sort of echoing what you guys were saying earlier, that some of you guys post daily, some of you guys post less often, more often. As long as you're bringing value to every piece of content, then I think that helps. The second part of the way that I guess you want to stand out is making those connections. Like Kevin said earlier, like sometimes if you have too many people you can't have 30,000 relationships. You can't build. It's very hard. So you have to find ways to bring value to people at scale. And sometimes a lot of that has to be in your videos or in your blog post, whatever it is that you are listening to your community and sort of like understanding, have a finger on the pulse of what they want to know as a collective. You guys are building a community here, right? So, what are the pain points? And then kind of trying to make sure you address those pain points. That way you do stand out. People are tuning in because they know that every time they tune in, they're not wasting their time. You respect their time by bringing them value every single time they read something from you or watch one of your videos or listen to your podcast, that they're getting value from you. So that will make sure that they keep coming back. It's just like any good show, hey, that was a really good episode. I'm going to come back and watch the next one when they come out. So, and again, to that, there's going to be somebody, no matter what space you guys are in, if you guys are listening, there's going to be somebody in your space. It's going to be really hard to stand out. But the thing is that even for us, if you are paying attention to Gary V, for example, you're paying attention to other entrepreneurs and other speakers in that space. So you do have to stand out. You do have to have your own voice. But don't be afraid to actually partner up with people in your space. Because sometimes, united together, you guys can actually reach more people and work as a team. So, like what we're doing here, we're not afraid of coming together and being on a live stream together, although there's probably a lot of overlaps in the people that we service and help out. It's always good to look at, don't see it as competition, because there's so much business out there. There's so much, content being consumed. People will read all of our blogs or watch all of our videos, I'm sure, because we have a different message and an angle to share. So that's my thoughts on that, on how to stand out.
That's really good.
That's great input. I think for me, to answer the question, right, I guess this links to the value question as well. If you want to stand out, you need to have a stand. because if you don't have a stand,
That's
you
good.
really can't stand out. You need a niche, right? You need a niche. Like for myself, it's very clear. My niche is in retail. So I want to stand out there, and more so retail in Asia Pacific. Probably because I'm in marketing, I sort of identify that, hey, there are not a lot of people talking about physical retail in the Asia Pacific space. But at the same time, I do see that there's a lot of different things happening in Asia that is different from Europe, different from the US, right? For example, I always like to make the point that, if you think that Amazon and Walmart's are the leaders, or US is the center of retail, physical retail, I would say no, that's not true. I think China is leading retail in so many aspects. So I like to bring that view. So that's my stand. That's how I feel I could stand out. And I guess in that sense, I try to bring that value out, because my purpose really is to bring value to retailers who could be struggling, or who could be looking out for new ideas, or they could see that, oh, hey, that's a way of doing it I never thought of. That's why I thought when I share my value, my content, and the value is really different angles on how retailers could help think differently, do things differently. That's where I share, that's the kind of angle I look in when I share my videos, the videos that I make, looking at different stores of interesting concepts, or just, sharing content on how other people are doing it. Because I feel that there's so much to talk about in retail that is different in Asia, that is different in Europe, that is different in US. And just like the name of this group, right, Bottoms Up Perspectives, really the value is in the perspective. If you have a different perspective to offer, there is value there. And sometimes the value is different from us versus the people consuming it. You might not see the value in what you share, but, don't worry about it. I tend to overthink, but now I'm trying not to, right? Like Aldric said, just post it out there and let the audience determine if there is valuable to them or not, right? Crazy thing that happened. I have always been sort of posting on retail, but a couple of weeks back, right, I shot myself in a mask, going back to the office for the first time in about 90 days. Guess what? It's got like probably the most engagement I've ever had. And that's just really crazy. So was that valuable in terms of a retail perspective? Not at all. But it seems like people resonated with it. They found that there was value in just a picture of me. I mean, I'm not even good looking, and maybe that's why half my face is covered in a mask, and I'm not good looking. Maybe that's why people responded. But the point is, I did not overthink. I just sent it out there, and people found that there was value, or it resonated with people. So I think what Audrey said is very true. Be in the moment, just send it out there, and don't overthink it. The value is for the audience to determine, and sometimes it could be different from what you think the value could be. So I think that's how people could stand out. Just to recap, make a stand, have a position, position yourself well in where you want your voice to be heard. And to Rob's point as well, collaborate. You're better as a community together if your stand aligns with other people's stands. If your purpose aligns with other people's purposes, your voice will be so much stronger, and you will find so much more meaning in the value and the things that you want to share.
Yeah. And I love what Amy said too. When it comes to value, value is subjective, so don't overthink it. A lot of times what you might think someone don't think is valuable, it can be valuable to someone else, and you can't please everyone on social media. And there's always, I always tell people, social media is a lot like dating, right? I shared this a few times, not every girl or every man's gonna like you or connect with you, but there's gonna be someone out there, that's interested in what you have to say, that wants to hear what you're all about. And find your tribe, connect with the right people, and that's the whole point of the game, I think. So I want to hear go on, Sergio, or go for it.
I'll take it. The way I see it is, adding on to everyone's points, and specifically Jeremy's, the audience determines the value. And from my standpoint, some of my best performing posts have been the ones that I, created within 2 minutes and just posted, because I was like, this makes sense, and just posted it, and then it blew up. It just got a lot of engagement. And some of the posts that I spend a little more time in, perform badly. And that's just the name of the game sometimes, it happens. And so, let the audience decide what is valuable and just keep going, because consistency does add up. And going to the point of creating a community, like for me as a young professional, I'm trying to, find other young professionals out there, because right now LinkedIn is a big platform for, business experienced people, and not a lot of young professionals are posting content. But I hope that, as the years go on and as people, get more comfortable with it, we see more young professionals interacting with one another and, providing a space, because I think that we have some great ideas in this generation, and we're seeing it on TikTok, you're seeing it on all these other platforms of these entrepreneurial mindset people that just provide a lot of value for others. And I think that LinkedIn is a great space because you meet and learn from people who have this experience. And that's why I decided to, one of the reasons I decided to post in the first place instead of like these other platforms, because I could learn from other people who've been in marketing and branding for, a long time. And that learning from those experiences is really valuable. And if along the way I build a community that grows to be a little bigger, that's great. But it is important to focus on the 10 people who are engaging with your content first, because those 10 people are the ones who are going to, consistently post because you're interacting with them. And that's the point of, just networking in general, is interacting with these people. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I love it, man. I agree with Sergio. My 2 points on this. So if you want to stand out, here's the easiest way. I posted about this a week ago. Be yourself. Like there's no other you, right? So just be yourself. Because at the end of the day, look, if you post every day and you're talking about stuff that's unique to you, then people are gonna buy into that, because it's you. It's nobody else. It's not Gary Vee. It's not anybody else. It's you. So I think if you want to stand out, you got to be yourself, and whoever you are.
That's good.
If you're a little weird and quirky, because I'm kind of quirky. I'm probably a little bit more than a little quirky, right? But people buy in. They like the brand. It's fine. So I'm not gonna deter from that. On the value piece, how do you bring value? I think like I said, there's no consistency in my content. I think you got to mix it up if you want to bring value. I think you have to bring a different perspective on things every day. So, one day I might talk about business. One day I might post a DJ video. One day I might talk about something personal. But at the end of the day, it keeps people engaged. It keeps people paying attention. You don't know what you're going to get. Like I said, if I talk about sales or if I talk about car dealers every day, you know what you're going to get, and that's cool. But, 3 weeks from now, you're going to be like, all right, like, how much is this guy going to talk about freaking car dealers? Like, I don't care about car dealers, I have no sympathy for their plight. So what do I care about car dealers, right? Which, listen, I'm on the other side. It's not that big a deal. Anyway, but yeah, I think you have to mix it up. But, value is just being able to give different perspective on things. And I also think, honestly, this is something that we haven't talked about. You bring value by commenting on other people's posts. And the reason you bring value by commenting on other people's posts is because, sometimes they'll ask you like, hey, what would you add? And you actually add something. And if somebody else is reading that, they're like, oh, that's really good. That's true. So I think that's a great way to bring value, is commenting on other people's posts and engaging, and also bringing a little bit different perspective. So, that's my 2 cents on.
That's good.
I'll probably say something a little different, because I think all of you have covered quite a lot of real estate already. I think what's really important is the kind of belief that we have in the work that we do, that we are putting value into ourselves every day. And therefore, all the contents that we push out is valuable for someone out there. But first, it has to start with us. If we believe in the work that we do every day, we have to start from somewhere. And I think that's the best internal driving force, that when I wake up every day, the work that I do brings immense value to myself. and therefore when I post, people can sense it. So even though it's a digital platform, the vibes goes across. I believe in that. I believe in that. But of course, that comes a lot in terms of retrospection. Just, are we comfortable and confident about ourselves and what we do? I think when you do have that, you don't have to worry too much about the value that you put forth. That's what I think. So for all of us, I think we believe in the work that we do. So regardless of the message or the contents that we publish, it's not an issue. That's my first point. Now, to a perspective that I want to address, which is on the hamster wheel, it looks hopeless, isn't it? If we just look at a hamster wheel, you're constantly in motion, but you're actually at the same spot. I would like to change that imagery to a treadmill. If you are working out on a treadmill, regardless of your pace, at the point where you're working out, it's hopeless. You're gonna feel it. I've done like 1 hour workouts on treadmills before. I know how it feels to be hopeless. But the fact that you're at the same spot for an hour doesn't mean that there's no progress or improvement. Your fitness has gone up several notches. Because all you have to do is 2 days later do an actual kind of a run outside or a trial at the track and field. You can feel it. So I think the kind of analogies that we tell others and to ourselves mentally, the analogies matter. I'm not exactly a fan of a hamster wheel. I think because it's just, it doesn't lead to anything. But I understand the monotony of a treadmill, but it brings us somewhere. So I think that matters. This is just my
Aldric, I think the hamster's getting in shape.
I might have seen the hamster.
Okay, I get that. It's like us on a treadmill, right?
It's not about you. It's about the hamster.
About the hamster.
You know, he lays around in his little tank all day. And you gotta keep that hamster healthy, dude.
They do still look chubbier than usual, no matter how many hours to the hamster wheel. But I'm not judging. I'm not a pets guy, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I agree with everyone here, but I mean, it comes down to, I think it's important to humanize what you're doing. Be humans, man. I think everyone on social media, they try too hard. And if you pay attention at the people who are successful at it, they're just being human. They're being themselves, you know? And I get this a lot as an agency owner. Oh, I didn't like this post because it's, you know, the left side of my face didn't look good. Can you delete this? Or, oh, you know, you spelled something wrong, you know, or whatever, you know. I mean, Gary, we've been talking about Gary V. He doesn't have perfect, you know, grammar all the time, but people love him, you know. And I think it's the beauty of humanizing that brand. We're all humans. And people don't understand when you're a content creator, the amount of content you're putting out there. You know, think about it. You're writing content daily. That's more than people who publish books at times. You know, if you add up all the years and every day, that's a lot of content. And guess what? When people who publish books, they make grammar errors. And then someone else, there's an editor who looks at it and corrects it. So don't give yourself too much expectation and make it too hard on yourself. You know, social media is not writing a book, you know, it's social media. So humanize the brand and connect with people. That's what it's all about. And before we end the night, so I like for our guests, what's something you can leave with the audience here? What's some golden nuggets for content creation?
Rob, you want to go? Oh, you want me to go? I can go. I'll go. I just like to, you know, leave the golden nugget specifically. You know, I was just there 6 months ago not having to post any content, not having no idea what I was doing. You know, it seems hard, and the first post is always the hardest. But if you just get over that first post, you know, the momentum starts building and you start rolling and you get to know the platform and you get to understand how, you know, posting works and what you want to post. And going to Timothy's, you know, point is be yourself and share your experiences, because everybody's lost at some point and people relate to that. You know, people relate to being in quarantine and feeling like you're, you know, claustrophobic and you just want to go out. And, you know, you can talk about that. Even if it's a professional platform, you could still share those kind of things. I mean, I love seeing videos on LinkedIn that are entertaining like Timothy's, you know? So be yourself. And as a young professional, get out there. You know, it's a great time for us to share our experiences and get into that world. If you're looking for a job specifically right now, employers want to see someone who is, you know, taking action and is not just standing there waiting for an opportunity to come by, but is reaching out there to, you know, chase that opportunity and take control of the situation. And no matter, you know, what situation you have or what you want to post about, it will reach someone. So just remember, you just have to reach someone. Thank you. That is all.
Awesome. Sounds
Good
good.
point.
Awesome. Good point.
That's really good. Yeah, I think there's so much you know, value in this interview with all the practical things that you can apply and actually, you know, scheduling all your content, all those things. But I think one of the things for me on a personal level to get to a place where I am now with, you know, with work and everything else, content, all that stuff, is surround yourself with people that are like-minded like you. Find a community. So you guys have an awesome community that you guys are building. If you guys aren't part of that, you know, tap into that, be part of that, because there's going to be days where, you know, I don't know what to post today, or I got this troll, or like I got this comment, or, you know, and that's when the community is really going to kick in and be like, hey, you know, like, that's fine. That's just part of the game. You know, you're awesome, all these things. And also sort of surrounding yourselves with like-minded people opens up, again, opportunities, collaborations, you know, like partnering up with people is just so key. You can just grow so much faster, you know, to reach, you know, more people. So yeah, I mean, if you want to get more actual practical things, I think, man, all of us here shared so much already. So community, that's probably what I'd leave off with.
Yeah, and to end
Awesome.
the night, be sure to follow Rob. He's on YouTube. He's on all the channels, and Sergio as well. And hey, thanks for being here with us for about an hour and a half, and appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next week. And I think next week we go talk about the hybrid parent. As we're going through this pandemic, a lot of us are also parents. So balancing having a kid right next to you while you do a live broadcast is a little different. So we go talk a little about that next week. So we'll see you same time, and have a good night, folks, or a good day, right? Later.
Thanks, Rob and
Thanks,
Sergio.
guys.
You guys are
All right, thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.